WWE is planning a major surprise for WrestleMania. We're going to talk about that, but our first topic of today's video is Deadlock Pro. We got to show DPW some love with this major announcement that they've made on social media. In collaboration with Gato Move, DPW is coming to Japan, and they're teaming up in April for 2 crossover episodes on April 25th and April 27th. And this is just massive news. The episodes will be taped and available on DPW On Demand at a later date. And as always, they'll keep you updated on social media. A big thing about what I do here on YouTube is talk about wrestling and storylines and just in general, the overall business. And it's just my perspective, my opinion. I'm not here to change anybody's opinion, but obviously I see what DPW is doing, and they've been doing a lot of great things in the past year, but this is just some next level stuff. And I really want to see more wrestling companies do the same thing. And this is just largely due to the fact that wrestling is just so much better when everybody is winning, when every company is challenged and they are overcoming those challenges and delivering great products. I think wrestling fans will have something for them wherever they look. And I think that's just massive, right? Some people like storytelling. Some people like just really good wrestling. Some people like, you know, wacky characters. Some people like serious characters. Some people like death matches and blood, and some people don't. My point that I'm making is right now, wrestling is absolutely on fire. And what Deadlock Pro Wrestling is doing is unprecedented, and it's amazing for the industry. And I just like seeing everybody win. I like seeing that all these companies are doing well. So shout out to Deadlock Pro. I'll keep you guys updated based on any sort of announcements that come along the way. But now I want to talk a little bit about Forbidden Door too, because whether you like or hate AEW, they're selling out of this place like crazy. Tickets are going incredibly fast for Forbidden Door 2. There are some major plans between 2 of the companies. We know that AEW also announced that Jeff Cobb is coming to Dynamite. So this is just like a really good thing that AEW is doing prior to the actual pay-per-view. But not only that, they are selling tickets without necessarily building the pay-per-view either way. Now, I get it. You're going to have people who make the argument, good wrestling and good stories, good wrestling, no stories, whatever. My thing is, for what I personally enjoy about wrestling, I like stories. Doesn't have to be the greatest story, but I just like watching TV where I'm constantly on the edge of my seat waiting to see what happens next. That's just my personal taste. Maybe you feel the same way. Maybe you don't. Because of how much I enjoy New Japan's wrestling, like their whole company and the wrestling matches they put together, and I like how much Tony Khan could actually tell a good story, man, I just want to see this pay-per-view have a big build. That's it. And it looks like we could be headed that way. Obviously, Tony Khan is working on some stories right now, which has people on the edge of their seat tuning in for the next week. So with Forbidden Door 2 selling out pretty much almost every ticket, there's very few tickets that are actually available. And again, it's just like pre-sale and stuff, but we're going to see maybe some more seats get added. More than likely, I think it's safe to predict that Forbidden Door 2 will be a complete sellout. That's my guess. That's my belief. And if that is in fact the case, I mean, that's incredible, right? Huge win for the industry, huge win for wrestling, huge win for podcasters and YouTubers. It's a huge win for everybody. So when all these companies are doing well, we're seeing WWE move tickets, we're seeing AEW move tickets, we're seeing companies like Deadlock, who are obviously smaller than AEW and WWE, but they're moving tickets and they're going to Japan. And we see all of these companies doing great things. It's just a really healthy industry. And I think that is something that a lot of fans, some fans don't care about that, and that's fine. But for somebody like me who makes content on wrestling, seeing the wrestling industry do so well is a huge win. And it's great just noticing too that AEW Forbidden Door 2 could even do so much better than the original one, because keep in mind, without talent being announced and stuff like that, Kenny, Brian, a whole bunch of people are actually like not injured this time around, right? Like there's a lot of people, there was a lot of injuries last year for Forbidden Door 2 or Forbidden Door 1. So just kind of keep that in mind when speaking about this particular story. Everybody seems to be healthy in AEW. Last year, that was not the case. So Bryan Danielson possibly having a big time match. It could be possible, right? So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated along the way. But great news for AEW and New Japan. And yes, we are going to talk a little bit about NXT, because NXT had some debuts this past weekend at their house shows. Now they're doing their house shows in Florida. This time it was at Fort Pierce. So now 2 talents have made their debut. Tiller Bucktrot, a former football player from the University of Tulsa who was signed by WWE in August, now worked his first match. This time he lost to Tyler Bate. Also, Sarah Beyer, she worked her first match with Lash Legend and the tag team. They lost to Lyra Valkyria and Danny Palmer. She was also signed to the company last August. So now the cool thing about NXT house shows, one, they're very inexpensive to attend. Two, you can see talent way before they ever hit TV. And in this case, WWE has the Next in Line program. So a lot of these people who are being signed for NIL deals are working these house shows now. You can kind of get familiar with them. They're testing out different characters, different gimmicks. I always like house shows. I think house shows are good for the industry from a fan experience, right? For NXT more specifically, like being a house show, being, you know, these small little Florida loops, you're getting familiar with people long before anything comes out of it. It's a really good chance of seeing who could potentially become a star and who might not be a star. And for me, I've always enjoyed that about wrestling. I think that's always why I like the idea of a developmental program, seeing how people progress through the ranks. It's always been important to me. I don't know, maybe it's not a big deal for a lot of people, but it's always been cool to like kind of see how people transcend with their characters and progress along the way. So in this case, just really cool, just being able to see that. But obviously, WWE's got 2 debuts. More debuts are being announced. Eddie Thorpe will be wrestling on NXT television next week as well. So keep that in mind. Eddie Thorpe was known as Carl Frederick. He'll finally be on TV. Then we're going to be watching Stand and Deliver next week. So I'll keep you guys updated along the way with the Angle show live all throughout the week. Make sure you stay tuned for that. And guys, for our final news of today's video, we're talking about Gangrel and the WWE because WWE may have a big surprise planned for WrestleMania. PW Insider Elite reports that WWE is bringing in former star Gangrel, who has ties with Edge and Christian, obviously from their days in the Brood. And the idea is that Gangrel will be involved either in Edge's entrance, maybe stay alongside the ring with Edge. But basically, the idea is WWE has this Hell in a Cell match with Finn Balor and Edge, the Demon versus the Brood, right? So this is kind of one of those things where WWE probably going to have a lot of theatrics in terms of the entrances, and they're going to make it a big deal. It's a Hell in a Cell match. But keep in mind, the Judgment Day could potentially get involved with this match, especially Damian Priest, who was left off the card, will probably get a couple big moments in this match. So the question here is, will Gangrel get involved in the match? WWE obviously has some surprises, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I'm all about presentation. I like presentation, big presentations. I like the big entrances. It's WrestleMania. It would be a nice callback. Nobody knows what's happening with Christian and AEW. I don't know if his contract's out. Obviously, he got buried alive in that match. So, you know, the final burial, we haven't seen him since. Is he still with AEW? Obviously, a lot of people are still kind of speculating what's happening there. But just imagine Christian, Edge, and Gangrel at WrestleMania together. Probably not going to happen. But I'm just saying, it would be really cool. Plus, you got the Judgment Day. And then hopefully after this match, it's the end of the feud and we can move on. But I want to know what you guys think of all the news in today's video. As always, I'll keep you guys updated. Thank you for watching. Peace.